Hello students, welcome to the lectures on microcontrollers and embedded systems. We were discussing about module 5. In the previous video, we looked at multitasking and multiprocessing. In multitasking, many processes run parallelly and each process may or may not interact. You can see here many processes are there which may interact or they may not interact with one another. These tasks or processes can be classified as computing processes or cooperating processes. What is computing process then? These are the processes which do not share anything among themselves, but these share the system resources. That means these are the processes which are sharing the resources. Next is cooperating process. The name itself says that processes are cooperative. That is, one process need the input of other process to complete the execution. This cooperation among processes can be either through sharing or through communication. In cooperation through sharing, processes will exchange the data through shared resources. The exchange of the data is done through shared resources in cooperation through sharing. But in cooperation through communication, the processes will communicate between each other. They are not sharing the things. What they are doing is they are directly communicating with each other, and this process is named as inter-process communication. So we are having three different mechanisms for this inter-process communication. Which are the three mechanisms? One is shared memory, okay. Second is message passing, and third is a remote procedure call. Now moving to the first called as shared memory. As you can see, the processes share the memory. In the figure you can look at process 1 and process are there, process 2 is there, which are sharing the same memory called as shared memory area. So process 1 and process 2 share the memory area and thus communication is established. The information to be communicated will be written to the shared memory area by one process. Assume process 1 writes something into the shared memory area. If this data is needed by process 2, then it reads from the shared memory area. Okay. The other process which all need this information read this from the shared memory area. That is, one process will be writing to the shared memory area, and the other processes which all need this information will be reading it from shared memory area. So this is how the sharing of memory is done, and there establishes a communication between the processes. This mechanism of shared memory is implemented by either using the pipes or by using the memory mapped objects. Now let me explain these pipes. You can look at the diagram. Okay, so it is a section of shared memory used by the processes for communication. It follows client server architecture. So a process which creates a pipe is a pipe server, and a process which connects to this pipe is called as pipe client. Pipe can be unidirectional or it can be bidirectional. In unidirectional, pipe information flows in only one direction. That is, pipe may write to the pipe and pipe 2 may read it, but it can't be vice versa. That means what? Pipe can be written by process 1, but it can't be read by the process 1. So it is unidirectional. Means process 1 is capable of only writing the thing to the pipe, and process 2 is able to read the contents of the pipe. Okay. So sorry. So this is unidirectional. Next is bidirectional. In bidirectional, what happens? A read and write can be done by the processes. from one end only. That is, process 1, if at all wants to write something into the pipe, it can write and it can be read by process 2. Or if process 2 has written something, it can be read by process 1 also. So from one end, both read and write operations can be done. Okay, so the pipes can be anonymous pipes or it can be named pipes. Okay, next mechanism is memory mapped objects. It is used by real-time operating systems for allocating shared block of memory which can be accessed by multiple processes simultaneously. Here, a mapping object is created and physical storage for it is reserved. A process can map either committed physical area to virtual address space, that is, the entire physical area which is given for a process has to be entered as a virtual address space. That means it has to be mapped as a virtual address space. Any read or write operation by a process to this virtual area will be directed to the committed physical area. If any process wants to share the data with other process, then it should map its physical memory area to its virtual memory space and then it can use the data. Next is message passing. So, message passing is a synchronous or asynchronous message exchange which is used in IPC. Only difference between the shared and message passing is in shared memory, lot of data, which amount of data I want to have sharing between the two processes, that can be done. But in message passing, the amount of sharing is limited. Message passing can be classified as message queues, mailbox and signaling. So, classification as message queue, mailbox and signaling is based on message passing operation between the processes. Now, let me explain about all these one after the other. What is message queue? Here, message queue will be there. That means one queue will be there. First in, first out queue will be used and process posts the message to this queue. The queue stores the message temporarily. The messages are sent and received through send and receive methods. This send and receive methods are OS kernel dependent. Thus, messages are exchanged through message queue. You can look in the figure. This message queue includes asynchronous and synchronous queuing. In asynchronous, process sends the message, do not wait for acceptance. The process will be sending the message but it is not waiting for the acceptance. But in synchronous process, these processes wait for acceptance. That means the process send the message and until it gets accepted, this process waits. How it waits? By moving to wait state. Okay. Next is about mailbox. So, it is a special implementation of message queue. Here, mailbox is created by posting the messages. In mailbox, one-way communication can be implemented and only single message can be exchanged. But in message queues, what happens? Multiple messages can be exchanged. One process which creates the mailbox, and if this mailbox has to be used by other processes, then the other processes have to subscribe to this mailbox. If any other process wants to get the notification, that means if it wants to what? If it wants to access the messages from this mailbox, then it has to subscribe to this mailbox. You just can look at the concept of the mailbox in the figure. Here, task 1, see what is there? Here this is task 1 and other 3 tasks are there below, right? So, task 1 creates the mailbox, task 2, task 3 and task 4 subscribe to this mailbox. Why they are subscribing? Because they want to get the notifications or they want to get the messages from the mailbox. So, task 1 will be sending the notifications. Upon sending the messages to the clients, which are the clients? 2, 3 and 4 are the clients and 1 is the server, right? So, 1 when it wants to send message to the 2, 3 and 4, it will write the message into the mailbox and notifications will be sent to these second, third and fourth tasks, 2, 3, 4 tasks, okay. So, this is how mailbox is used for communication. Then the third mechanism is signaling. What is it? It is used for asynchronous notification mechanism. It is useful for execution of synchronization, that is, whenever one process is executing, it indicates it by sending the signal. These signals do not carry the data, but they are just the sign to the other processes. The implementation of signals is kernel dependent. So, this is all about signaling. So, these are the three mechanisms which are used in message passing. Now, moving to the third mechanism. Which mechanism? Third main mechanism of inter-process communication, that is a remote procedure call. Already I explained about the first mechanism, that is shared memory. Second mechanism was message passing. Now, the third mechanism is a remote procedure call. It is used by a process to call a procedure of any other process. This process may be running on the same CPU or it may be running on any other different CPU. The process containing the procedure is called the server and the process which initiates the request is called the client. So, this remote procedure call can be synchronous or it can be asynchronous. In the figure you can see the processes are in different CPU. In the first figure, the two processes are there which are on the different CPU. Okay. In the second figure, you can look at the processes are in the same. Okay. The processes are in different CPU and the processes are in the different CPUs. Thus, the information is communicated between the different processes using remote procedure calls. Procedures will be called from one process so that they can access and use this data from the other process. So, this is all about the different mechanisms for inter-process communication. So, this is all about task communication. Thank you.